Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show, we're talking about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season finale of Supergirl. A great season finale. A lot of stuff went down. We're going to break down bit by bit. A lot of kind of like a sad episode overall, but obviously the main thing is about taking down Rain and the three sisters of this whole order and stuff like that. I'm wondering, is Covell dead? They never went back to it. I knew he wasn't dead. He got in a ship. I guess maybe he survived long enough to do that, but because next time we see him, he's gone passed out. So I guess he died in it. Like I said, it was never brought up again. So I was because I was bringing that up last episode. Is he dead? Is he not? And it's like, no, he survived long enough to get a signal out to tell them where to go. Because it's like, oh, you guys are actually evil. Ugh. It's like, I mean, you're the reason why this all came to be, because you had a helping hand in all of it. But in the end, I guess he kind of did the right thing. Kind of. It was more selfishly he did the right thing because it's like he got screwed over in the end. But nevertheless, I guess that's kind of like the bad guy situation 101. Never trust your partners in that situation because they're bound to screw you over. But nevertheless, it was kind of interesting. A lot of stuff about how the whole situation was going to be handled. About everyone being like, we have to put Rain down. But for Kara, it's like, no, that's not who I am. I don't kill people. It's just not her code. It's never been their code. But for them, it's like, you might not have a choice. I mean, she's too powerful to be held in any particular prison. It's not like kryptonite's going to work to hold her. So there's nothing they have that could keep her in a weakened state that you could lock her up. So, but it was kind of crazy, that moment where her heat vision killed everyone. It killed Allura. It killed Amano, who saved John, and it even killed Sam. I was like, wow. I was like, how do you reverse this? I was like, are we going to go to Superman movie level thing of just circling around a planet and reverse time like that? But instead, she ended up using the Legion Ray, which immediately, I guess there's not going to be any ramification for it. The moment she was starting to pick that up, I was like, should we be worried about that? The last thing you want to be doing is she knows about Flashpoint because she heard about it during the Heroes versus Aliens crossover. She knows about what happens with going back and changing history. I guess maybe it's a little bit different and when it comes to speedsters in comparison to Legion Ray. Also, it seemed like it worked differently too, because it's not like she 100% went back in time herself, because that would definitely create a paradox situation. It seems more like it was able to do a consciousness thing, which is I guess it can do two different forms of time travel, both consciousness and physically time traveling you. So I just thought that was kind of fascinating. Also, because it gave her an air bubble, basically because she made it so she can breathe in outer space. So that was kind of interesting. That was just kind of a fascinating thing. I was like, oh, because I was legit. I was like, oh my, is that supposed to be set up for that? But I mean, once again, maybe there'll be potentially something that comes about that. Like I said, it's such a small enough thing. She went back a couple minutes at most. I mean, once again, still time travel is time travel, but this was consciousness. So I mean, who's to say? I don't know. Because this is kind of the way things are supposed to be. Because for her, it's she blamed herself because she's everything fell apart because I went against my code. That's not who I am. I went into this going to kill her, and because of that, she kind of lost everything. So pretty badass that Sam Kim came and dealt the killing blow, which I do appreciate that being a part of her story too. Her going into the valley, she saw her adoptive mom, but she didn't believe it. She, obviously the ghosts are there to haunt you, but it legitimately was her mom helping. I was like, oh, is there going to be a twist to this? It's like, no, legitimately, because her mom had all these regrets about not being there to help her. So it was also nice too because it gave Sam some closure. Also, kind of walked away from it being super powered for a little bit. Obviously she was floating for a little while and she was able to run. It's also nice to see that Allura kind of stepped into her abilities a little bit too, because she was helping out destroy some of the Robo Heat Visions. Yeah, getting into it. So that's pretty neat. I also love that it was Allura the one who ended up taking Selena down specifically. It's just kind of yeah. Which is also, I think that speaks volumes too, because the fact of the matter, well, they were well equipped with kryptonite and everything like that. Obviously, they don't know about kryptonite, so it kind of completely caught them off guard. But it's kind of interesting because, the fact of the matter is, it's yeah, Allura hasn't even had her ability as that long as she puts you down to shame. I guess you can make the argument, makes you also wonder, is she just naturally a skilled warrior too? I mean, you never know about that type of thing with Allura. It seemed she also had that's a battle outfit. So I think on some level she does have some kind of training. Maybe Selena doesn't. I don't know if that's come up that necessarily, not everyone, but I'm sure even people from the top families on Krypton. I don't know if that's ever come up even on the show Krypton, but the whole oh yeah, they can they're not all well trained or something like that as fighters. But nevertheless, that's me going on a huge tangent. I'm also completely skipping over the fact that Morin had to sacrifice himself. He gave John one last memory. It was basically like the dawn of their history, like it all being passed on to like the first Green Martian and stuff like that. So I'm also curious to see what this means going forward for like, because we still know about Mars's situation. There's like the remnant. There's the people who are resisting the the White Martians that were fighting back. Like we still have not cut back to that since earlier this season, so that could be potentially we see going forward. Obviously, especially potentially with John's story, but I'll kind of get to that when I get to it. But it's like he didn't get to even get all his dad's memories, but I think at the very least what we got to see that I guess he got some of the more important stuff. Like as long as that kind of got there, especially about their people, their history, the memories of their family and stuff like that. Some memories of his dad. The thing being like, even if he's not ready to let him go, and it's like, you will never have to. Like, I will always be with you, essentially. So it seems like basically, and that's such an interesting thing. I guess, I mean, and that's kind of like a end-all be-all technique. Is like he shape-shifted into the earth and kind of became, like, I guess he kind of fused his body with it, kind of shape-shifting into the earth, and kind of fuses his consciousness with it on kind of like almost kind of like speaking to the nature that is earth, and kind of forcing it to kind of come back together and stop all the like disasters that were happening, like stuff in Madagascar, which is where like Clark was. Got heard like a line of like Superman's like taking care of things in Madagascar, but also like Kara and her mom, as well as Emra and Brainy, ended up freezing a tsunami that was coming and ended up breaking it apart. But interesting things, when it was all said and done, what Kara did, I'm skipping around, I do apologize. It's when it was all said and done, Kara made the decision like, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so like the one prison that could hold her before now was Sam. So I was like, oh, you about to put them back together, but wouldn't that still be a problem? How's that going to happen? But it's like by them all touching it, they were going to go into the Dark Valley, because that's the prison that held her in the first place. And so they ended up making her drink the water after Sam kicked her ass. It's like, yeah. Once again, Sam kind of, even in this timeline with the changes, Sam still kind of got in her 1-2s, and it was like, that was nice. And then made her drink the water. I guess obviously the ghosts and stuff got her, but I guess it's supposed to be like, maybe, because obviously when they grabbed her, they pushed her into the part of the fountain that makes you weaker. So it seemed like it was like it completely nullified. I guess it's kind of supposed to represent Rain is stuck there in a perpetual state of weakness, kind of being locked off is what that is, because it kind of cold, like it looked like that part of the pit disappears. So I'm guessing like, I guess in this argument, I guess it could be like she was drowned in it, like she was forced to consume the entire side of the weakening side of the Dark Valley. So that means she just, I don't know. I was just thinking like they were going to lock her up. Maybe it had like, because eventually, like even at the end of it all, Sam is no longer a Kryptonian. I guess because like whatever connection her and Rain had is completely gone, so any Kryptonian in her died out. Or maybe that power boost was enough to kind of drain her system completely. Or maybe like Lena did something to her, which is kind of a shame that she doesn't get to be a superhero anymore. But at the very least, it's like, hey, that situation solved, so she's back to being 100% human, just being simply a mom. So I'm wondering, could the Dark Valley ever be accessed again? Will that be something that ever comes up? I would assume not. I mean, you really wouldn't need to, you know. So, but not only with just this, the conclusion of everything, which I know, like let's not forget Kara, like, and Rain duking it out in the sky was pretty badass. But not even just the battle itself, it's the changes that are going forward. The fact of the matter is, Mon-El and Wynn are being asked to go to the future because apparently Brainiac is wreaking havoc. He's creating a plague that basically wipes out all AI, which is so interesting because once again, I brought it up earlier, Krypton, but like that's Krypton's whole thing. So it's like interesting. Like that'll be, once again, I guess that's also their way of being like, yeah, like we probably would never have Brainiac in the show because obviously Krypton's got Brainiac now, but also that's kind of their way of handling it. Like he's here in the continuity, he's just in the future, you know? So, which is also interesting because this is dealing with the future. The Flash is dealing with the future, stuff like that. I mean, Legends is technically dealing with the future. Like I want to say Black Lightning and Arrow are the only shows not dealing particularly with the future right now. So I think that's kind of interesting. I mean, obviously it could still fall into that category because, you know, at least with Arrow, the whole Arrowverse situation. So, but nevertheless, I'm going on a tangent. Which sucks because for Mon-El, it's like things between him and Kara are good. Like he wanted to stay here, especially because Emra came back. Because even she apologized because she was like, yeah, she kind of realized like after taking some time apart, like realizing like, yeah, I kind of lied to you about a lot of stuff, like the whole mission, not telling you about the whole pestilence thing, all about that. So it's like, you know, a kind of like it's not like our relationship was 100% solid because at the end of the day, like they just want each other to be happy and you know things were good for Monel, but it's like Imra didn't tell him 100% everything. I guess it's ultimately because like also side note, has she always been Saturn Girl? I swear that was the first time I heard her being called that. Maybe she was called that before. I mean, to be fair, like Monel, like has it come up before? Did he even mention that last season? Like his code name is Valor. Like I don't even know that because of other people said that. I looked him up like one time a while back, but it's like I don't remember that's ever actually come up. Him being Valor, that being his code name. Maybe they mentioned it once, but I definitely don't even remember it being mentioned last season. But maybe that's just because I'm remembering wrong. But nevertheless, it's like I feel like this is the first time it ever came up about her being Saturn Girl. But once again, 100% wrong, potentially wrong on that. So. But I think it's because of Imra. She knew that, you know, she hadn't really gotten contact from Monel, so she knew kind of what his decision was. So she didn't want to like, you know, he's kind of happy. Like she wanted to, you know, him to be happy. So she probably didn't want to take that away from him. So it's probably like, no, we'll deal with this on our own. But Brainy tells him it's like they need him. He's the leader of the Legion, and he's, you know. It's him. Like he has to be the leader. He has to want to lead the charge, and they need Win because Win is like the smartest person that Brainy knows. Brainy can't go back because of the whole thing. Like if he goes back, it's just going to affect him and make him useless. Which, to be fair, I don't even know that many other AIs like other than like him. Like I don't know. I mean, also depends on if Red Tornado's a part of this situation. Cause I don't know if he counts as an AI or not. Like, I know he exists in this continuity. I mean, he existed in season 1 of Supergirl, but one of those, I don't know if that's something that's retcon. He exists on Earth 52, on Earth X. So, you know, it's hard to say, like, where he exists in this whole continuity, because he might exist in the future, and he might be affected by it. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure whether he falls in the category of AI. I assume he does, but nevertheless. So, I mean, there's a whole bunch of other AIs out there, so... Which is kind of crazy to think about. Like that one change for history did a good thing, but it also brought about a bad thing because it let Brainiac be in a position to kind of do what he's doing. So, but it's a tough decision all around because Monel would have to leave Kara behind after just rekindling, telling her how he really feels. Then when it's like his entire life is here, his family's here, but at the same time, it's like going to the future would be cool and everything. And it's like, oh, apparently the technology he thought didn't work, it failed, actually was the foundation for a lot of stuff that's helped and protected a lot of people in the future. So there's that. So he is needed in the future, which obviously you could tell like, oh, Brainy's obviously going to be staying here. So he's kind of your replacement for now, but it's kind of also sad too, because it doesn't come up, but let's not forget, he kind of mended fences with his mom. So that's kind of going to be kind of that never gets brought up. It didn't get brought up, but still something you should kind of keep in the back of your mind though. Not only that, there's the whole situation. I mean, I wonder will you actually even see Sam going forward or not? I'd probably just be like, well, now that the rain situation's done with, she's just going to live her life with Ruby and stuff like that. Probably get referenced here and there, but probably nothing beyond that. Then there's Alora going back to Argo City. It's like, oh, like they're having to say goodbye. I mean, I guess it's not something she could always do, I guess. Kara, like getting out there to her, so it'd be kind of more like probably a hassle. I mean, what about John's car situation? I guess at the very least, it just wouldn't be something like she could do all the time. She knows her mom is out there, Argo City's out there, which is interesting. I feel like that's still potential for other stuff. I don't know whether that turns into anything potential in the future or not, but I mean, it's still out there letting us know that that's there. So, and the others are being like the 3 baddies are being taken to Argo to be tried and stuff. So. There's a whole situation with Jimmy kind of revealing his identity. That was kind of interesting too, just because it's like, oh, to save that woman's child, like to calm her down. I guess it was more so he's like, I don't know whether it's my eyes or just hearing my voice. I think it's more so just because it's like, it's one thing to see someone with a mask. It kind of reminds me because it's just one of the first instances I saw of this was kind of the Terry situation in Batman Beyond. It's like the last episode of this series technically. There's actually some in when it's Static? No, it's Justice League where technically you get the finale for it in Justice League, or is it Justice League Unlimited? Either way, basically when he reveals his identity to the little boy to help him, it's just kind of, it made me think about that a little bit. So, but I guess it's more so like to show like, hey, I'm not some just scary random dude. I'm a dude under this. I'm making you a promise as a person. I was also worried at the back of my mind. I'm like, you don't think things are going to go a little wrong, and then she's going to out Jimmy just because of that. But it's like, no, everything worked out. But it inspired him to go like, no, I need to go public, because for him, it's like that feeling. It's a little scary, but at the same time, it's like that what that lady saw and how she believed in him kept her calm. He wanted to kind of make that feeling for everyone, so he outs himself at the end of the episode, which is crazy to think about. Like, which is so interesting because like. I mean, other people's situations aren't exactly like that because the other comparison is like Oliver, and Oliver didn't put himself out there 100% by himself. That was just more an orchestrated plan. But eventually he admitted, like, yeah, I am in fact the Green Arrow, you know? So obviously varying different outcomes. I mean, Oliver's situation is a little different from Jimmy because Jimmy isn't out there killing people. I also love that he had that sweet handshake with Wayne and being like, yeah, don't tell Clark about that, which is like, you have a special handshake? You guys are such dorks. I say that as a dork myself. But yeah, man, all these crazy changes. Like, I wasn't expecting it. Like I said, I didn't know where Mon-El was going to stand in this, but him going back to the future, it's like, oh man, that sucks. But I mean, it seems like him and Kara are good because for Kara, I think, and the big thing for her, the early part of the season was that struggle. Like, she wanted to go to Argo City to be herself, be Kara Zor-El, but it's kind of like, that's not who she really is anymore because she is Kara Danvers. She is Supergirl. This is her home, you know, and Earth is protecting it. It's her job. So for her, it's like, I think she's finally found that equilibrium, that balance again that she kind of like was off kilter about since like last season, like since all of this season, because she was just kind of like, oh, like I need to leave Kara Danvers behind. Like being able to balance those two is like part of who she is, and I thought that's kind of neat. It actually kind of works the same way with Alex's life too, because Alex was like, she didn't want to like keeping this job with being an agent would mean she couldn't be a mom, but it's like being a mom is what she really wants. So to compensate, like John is like, yeah, passing the torch to you. You're the new director. You won't have to be in the field as much, and you can be a parent and stuff like that. Which is like, oh, I didn't see that coming in. Like, I thought that was kind of a nice twist, but it's like John's going to just be living amongst. Like, I mean, obviously he's not leaving, but at the very least, like he's just going to be living amongst people. Because to be fair, like he's lived in the shadows, like in the DEO building for like the past 15 years, because that's more so now at this point in time. So it's probably more like 18 years. Because of ever since he took on Hank Henshaw's like persona, like he's just been working with the DEO, like hiding out and like cutting himself off from the world to a certain extent, by just like running things. But obviously he's not completely going from the story potentially, but I mean, I don't know, we probably won't be seeing him as frequently. But like I said, it still opens him up to be like, oh yeah, like there's the whole like White Martian storyline where they could kind of, you know, the whole Magan situation, that could circle back around, you know. Which that kind of depends on a lot of stuff too. The actress who plays her, Sharon Lil, I think is how you pronounce her last name. I'm probably not pronouncing right. Who's currently on Instinct. So like a lot of factors kind of have to be considered for that too going forward. So there's also the fact is that Kara also has a Legion ring too, which I'm curious to see what that means going forward. We might actually see her time traveling to the future, in the future, just because she has a Legion ring too. I mean, to be fair, we know Clark has one. I mean, once again, it's one of those season 1 things. Like I vividly remember the fact is he has one in the Fortress of Solitude, but you know, I'm sure it's not just like, oh, Kara doesn't just go there whenever she feels like it, which is kind of funny that she's never circled back around to. She hasn't been back. She hasn't she? She's been there since. I don't remember. I'm actually blanking now. I don't remember she subsequently been there since season 1. I want to say she has. But nevertheless, then there's like the Paranel situation. The moment it's like, oh yeah, we get this off for Earth. It's the last of it. Good. And the look on Lena's face, I was like, you still have some, don't you? You're back to keeping secrets. Obviously, her and Supergirl are on good terms. Maybe if her and Supergirl were on good terms, maybe she would have told her, but I doubt it anyway, because it's just kind of, because for her, it's like, oh, the benefits of it and stuff like that. The good outweighs the evil type of situation. So, but immediately I was like, okay, so what's this going to turn into? I was like, oh, this is going to be bad. I don't know what that's going to turn into. But then it shows like when they activate the Paranel, something got released, darkness. And we go to Siberia where we see Supergirl, like another Supergirl. So it's like, oh, we almost have like a Bizarro situation, but it's probably not full on Bizarro. It's probably more like a evil Supergirl. I wondered if she, like, probably all like the darkness in Supergirl is probably there. So that might be something we see her struggle with in the future, like maybe having to combine back together or not. Like I don't, once again, like I said, it depends on the whole, whether or not they, how much gets retconned or not from season 1. So this might be their way of doing almost a Bizarro situation. Immediately my brain kind of made me think of like, are they doing kind of that storyline? What's it called? Red Sun, the storyline of like, Superman, but he was born in like Russia rather than the US, in particular Kansas. So I wonder, is that what that's supposed to kind of be like? Is this like a blank Kara, like, who doesn't really know anything or know anyone, and she's kind of almost like a newborn, and is she going to be trained by, like, I wonder, is that what that's supposed to represent? Or once again, is it just supposed to be like, nah, she's just straight up evil, she knows everything Kara knows? I'm very interested to see what that turns into. The whole Lena situation, I mean, she didn't find out this season, but it could be potentially something that pops up next season about the whole Lena and Kara situation, about learning that truth. Like, you know, will it ever come out? I don't think, especially where Supergirl and Lena stand, she probably wouldn't ever want that. So this keeps some balance to her life as Kara. She's probably just never going. I mean, it's probably won't be out of her hands. I'm also curious to see about the God, what's his name? Edge. Haven't seen him subsequently since many episodes back. So I don't know if he's going to circle back into the story in like the 4th season or something like that, which the show has been renewed for a 4th season. I figure I should say that, which I'm super excited to see what they do. Like I said, a lot of like the cast is gone in that regard. Like Jimmy's still around, but Wynn's gone, but he's replaced by Brainy. That also means we could potentially set up other superheroes. Like I recently actually did a video, which it's not actually going up until Wednesday, but some characters I'd like to see kind of pop up in the Arrowverse. Like I'll leave it at that. But if you're curious about checking it out, I might link to it in the end card of this or whatever. But it does beg the question, like, you know, what potential heroes could we see kind of set up in the future? I'm curious to see like what the storyline ends up being about with all of that. Like I said, things kind of end good for Kara, but that whole situation could lead to like, well, yeah, now there's another Supergirl out there causing problems, causing issues with Kara. Like Kara's life, in the sense of like, oh, people think she's off doing all these terrible things. Kind of interesting too, considering the fact is like she had to go up against her like Nazi counterpart in the Crisis on Earth X crossover. So it's just kind of fascinating in that regard. So this might I'm also curious to see too, will this like any of that kind of lead to Cadmus popping up in the story, because it popped up a little bit this season with Lillian, but beyond that, like that was the only extent. Like they haven't been the major, like we haven't seen Cyborg Superman since season 2, or the whole Jeremiah situation. Like that's still a lot of stuff that's unresolved. I'm curious, like, I mean, obviously like you have Alex being the head of things, so like what that means going forward, what's it going to be like having Brainy around. That's definitely going to be an interesting difference. Which is interesting too, because he also has the unfair advantage of he knows the future, so that's definitely, I feel like, going to play an element going forward. Like, I mean, whether it plays a big part or not, probably not, but it might play like a smaller bit. I'm curious to see like whether, like how that would play out. What things are going to be like for Jimmy now that he's come out. That also is interesting too, because it's like him and Lena are dating too. So it's gonna like, oh, Lena's dating Guardian, and you know, I mean, I don't know if they're going to be like publicly out about the relationship and stuff like that, but I mean, if it ever comes out. So also to see what happens with Eve going forward, like obviously her working with Lena, does that mean she doesn't work at Catco anymore, or is it just kind of like oh no, that's kind of like a side thing her and Lena are up to? So what they exactly plan to do with the pair now, it's supposed to, you know, mean, I'm sure it's meant to be like, oh, it helps people and stuff like that, but I'm also curious to see what ends up coming about because of this. It's going, like I said, it's going to turn into some situations, because it's going to literally be the kryptonite situation all over again, but it's like, you know how dangerous this stuff is, and you did it anyway, so eventually her and Kara are probably going to come to blows again, essentially. That might end with a situation of her finding out then and there about Kara's secret. I don't know. This might be that situation that also potentially lead. That's kind of a wonder of mine too. Like, will we see Lena kind of tiptoeing the more dark side going forward? So, like I said, you know, it's always that thing. You know, good intentions and all that. You know, like I said, I'm very excited to see what they ultimately do with season 4. I'm very excited to see what happens. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.